Kade, reject you, Mira, as my mate. Tears filled my eyes as his cold voice echoed through the hall. The entire pack watched in silence. Behind him, Selena smiled, proud, victorious. She'd be the new Luna. I don't understand, I whispered, heartbreaking. We're fated mates. Why? Kade avoided my gaze. You're an Omega, Mira. You wouldn't survive as Luna. I'd put you in danger. He didn't finish. His voice cracked. But I knew the truth, he was ashamed of me. I lifted my chin. Fine, I said, voice steady. Then I, Mira, reject you, Kade, as my mate. A wave of pain ripped through me as the bond shattered. I stumbled, but when he reached out, I slapped his hand away. I'm leaving, Alpha. As I walked out, the pack stared in silence. Selena whispered smugly, he's mine now. I didn't look back. I ran deep into the forest, tears streaming, my wolf howling inside me. Kade and I had been in love for years. He made me wait until he became Alpha to make it official. And now this. I placed a hand on my stomach. A pup. His pup. I'm sorry, baby. Daddy doesn't want us, I whispered. The next morning, I packed my things. At the door, Selena blocked my way. Leaving already? She sneered. Smart for a dumb Omega. I ignored her, but she grabbed my wrist. Don't you know how to respect your future, Luna? What do you want? I'm leaving, I said through clenched teeth. She paused, sniffed. You smell strange. My heart stopped. She couldn't find out. I yanked my bag and shoved past her. She stumbled backward just as Kade appeared. Mira, he called, eyes flicking between us. Selena rushed to explain, it was an accident, Kade. Don't be mad. It's done, I said coldly. Where are you going? He asked. Far away from you. Mira, it's dangerous. I didn't care. I turned my back and walked away. 5 years later. Mom, look. Rowan ran to me, waving a red maple leaf. It's a star. I knelt, brushing his messy brown hair. Well, baby, it's actually a maple leaf. But if you say it's a star, then it is. He beamed. I'm giving it to Miss Harper tomorrow. She says they're lucky. You're already her favorite student, I teased. I am, he said proudly, then kissed my cheek before running to school. 5 years had passed since I left Kade. Rowan looked just like him, golden eyes, soft brown hair. We lived in a quiet human town now, far from werewolf territory. I opened a small clinic and found peace in helping others. That morning, as I tended to an elderly patient, I thought of Kade. Did he ever think of us? Of Rowan? He's a good kid, Mrs. Andy said. Takes after his father. My hand froze, but I kept working. Something like that. Later, as the sun began to set, I sensed something strange. A shift in the air. My wolf stirred. Mom, Rowan shouted, running into my arms. How was school? I asked, masking my worry. Miss Harper's teaching us to make cookies. I smiled, but stayed alert. The next morning felt off. My wolf was restless. Mama, are you okay? Rowan asked. Before I could answer, a scream shattered the air. Blood. I smelled it instantly. Rowan, come here, I snapped. He looked up, scared. What's happening? Just listen. Stay close. Through the window, I saw them, rogues. A pack, tearing through the streets. I grabbed our emergency bag and pulled Rowan to the back door. Where are we going? He asked. Somewhere safe. We slipped into the woods. I clutched his hand tightly, praying we'd outrun the threat. But then, a growl. The wind shifted. And I knew. They had found us. The wind was colder than usual as I walked into the forest that night, leaving behind everything I had ever known. My legs ached, but the pain in my chest was far worse. The rejection still echoed in my bones. I had loved Kade. I had trusted him. And now, all I had was my unborn pup and the silence of the woods. I didn't shift into my wolf. She was too wounded to surface. She whimpered inside me, broken just like I was. Every step deeper into the darkness was a step away from the life I had imagined, the Luna I was never allowed to be. That night, I slept under a fallen tree, curled up with my coat pulled over my stomach. I whispered to the life inside me. We're going to be okay, little one, I lied. We'll find a place where no one will ever hurt us again. I found the human town a week later, after stealing clothes from an abandoned cabin and traveling by foot through unfamiliar terrain. No one asked questions when I arrived. They just assumed I was a runaway, and I didn't correct them. A kind old woman named Evelyn took me in for a few nights, then helped me find a small apartment. She didn't ask why I cried in my sleep or why I flinched when someone knocked at the door. She just left a cup of tea and told me to drink water for the baby. In the months that followed, I built a life from nothing. I got a job as a clinic assistant, then studied quietly at night. By the time Rowan was born, I was licensed to practice basic medicine and herbal care. I named him after the tree that had sheltered me that first night. Strong, grounded, resilient. He was born with golden eyes, just like Kade. But unlike his father, Rowan was warm, bright, and full of light. He clung to my finger when he was only minutes old, and I made a vow right then. I would protect him with everything I had. I would never let him feel the kind of pain Kade left in my chest. The first few years were hard. I worked during the day, studied at night, and gave Rowan all my love in between. He never asked why he didn't have a father. He just wrapped his arms around me every night and said, "I love you, Mama." And that was enough. Now, 5 years later, I ran a small clinic in the town. People respected me. They trusted me. I was no longer an Omega. I was Mira, the healer, the single mother, the woman who survived. But some nights, I still felt it. The bond, though severed, would pulse like a phantom ache. And I would wonder if Kade ever regretted it. If he ever thought about me. If he knew about the child he'd never met. I told myself it didn't matter. But I lied. Because the truth is, I still dreamed of him. And the dreams were not kind. The morning sun filtered through the curtains as I packed Rowan's lunch, listening to him talk about Miss Harper and his favorite storybooks. His voice was full of joy, but beneath my calm smile, my wolf was uneasy. A faint shift in the wind. A familiar scent I hadn't smelled in years. Wolf. Not just any wolf. Rogue. But it was distant, fading quickly, like a bad memory brushing past your skin. I told myself it was nothing. I couldn't let fear control me, not anymore. I kissed Rowan's forehead as he ran off to school, his backpack bouncing with each step. I watched until he disappeared into the classroom, then turned back toward my clinic. The smell was gone. The street was peaceful. Life moved on. But my heart was restless. That afternoon, the bell above the clinic door jingled, and I looked up expecting a regular patient. Instead, it was a stranger, a man in his 30s, rough-looking, dirt smudged across his coat. "Are you Mira?" he asked, his eyes scanning the clinic. I nodded cautiously. "Can I help you?" "I heard you treat wolves." My pulse jumped. "I treat people," I replied, firm but polite. He glanced over his shoulder, then back at me. "There's a boy, hurt bad. Not far from here." I didn't know where else to go. I hesitated. My instincts screamed trap, but my healer's heart pushed me forward. "Take me to him." We ran through a narrow trail that led to the edge of the woods. That's when I saw him, barely more than a teenager, with bloody clothes and a gash across his chest. His wolf form was trying to emerge, but he was too weak. I knelt beside him and opened my kit. "Hold him still," I said to the man, who obeyed without question. As I worked, I noticed the mark near the boy's collarbone. A crescent-shaped scar. My breath caught. That mark. It was the sign of the Nightfang pack. My old pack. Kade's pack. No. I shook my head, pushing the thought away. It couldn't be. I cleaned the wound and bandaged him quickly, giving him herbs to slow the bleeding and dull the pain. When I was sure he'd survive, I stood. "He needs rest. Keep him warm. I'll come back later." The man thanked me. I didn't wait for more questions. I returned to town, trying to shake the dread creeping into my bones. Why was a Nightfang pup here? So far from pack territory? That night, I barely slept. I curled up beside Rowan in bed, listening to his soft breathing. My mind was racing. The rogues. The scent. The pup. Something was coming. And I wasn't ready. The next morning, I kept Rowan close. Too close. He noticed. "Mama, I can walk to school by myself, you know," he said, swinging his small backpack over one shoulder. "Not today, sweetheart," I replied softly, brushing his hair back. "Just humor me." He pouted but didn't argue. I walked him all the way to the schoolhouse door, kneeling to kiss his cheek before he ran inside. I lingered longer than usual, eyes scanning the quiet streets, senses on edge. The rogue scent hadn't returned, but something else had. A presence. And I felt it long before I saw him. Late that afternoon, the bell above my clinic door rang again. I looked up, and the world stopped. Kade. Older, broader, his golden eyes shadowed with exhaustion. He stood tall in the doorway, the alpha aura still radiating from him like heat. I couldn't breathe. "Mira," he said, as if my name had haunted his lips for years. I stood frozen. Part of me wanted to scream. Another part wanted to run. But I did neither. "What are you doing here?" I finally asked, my voice low, steady. I didn't know where else to go. We've been tracking rogue movements. One of our young warriors disappeared. We traced him to this town. My pulse thudded in my ears. So the boy was from the Nightfang pack. He's alive. You're welcome. Kade took a hesitant step inside. Mira, I didn't come to fight. Don't, I cut him off, my voice sharp. You made your choice 5 years ago. He flinched, like the memory still stung. I know. I was wrong. I scoffed bitterly. You rejected me in front of the entire pack. You humiliated me. You replaced me. His jaw tightened. I thought I was protecting you. No. You were protecting yourself, I said coldly. And now you think you can just walk into my life again like nothing happened? He looked like he wanted to say something, but stopped. His eyes scanned the room, then landed on the small photo on my desk. Rowan, holding the maple leaf, beaming with that unmistakable sparkle in his eyes. His breath caught. Is that? Yes, I answered before he could speak further. That's your son. Silence. Long. Heavy. I didn't know, he whispered. You weren't meant to, I said, my voice shaking now. You lost that right the day you rejected me. He stepped back, as if the weight of my words struck him in the chest. I'll go, he said finally. But Mira, I'm not leaving the territory. Not while there are rogues out there. And not until I've made things right. He turned and walked out. I stood there, trembling, my hands clenched at my sides. The past had found me. And it had golden eyes. That night, I barely slept. I watched Rowan as he dreamed, his little chest rising and falling steadily. His golden eyes were closed, but I could still see the trace of Kade in every feature. The same stubborn chin. The same way he wrinkled his nose when something annoyed him. And now Kade knew. I had kept our son hidden for 5 years. Not out of vengeance, but out of fear. Fear that Kade would take him. Fear that the pack would claim him. Fear that Rowan would grow up bound by the same ranks and rules that had broken me. Now, all that was at risk. The next morning, I walked Rowan to school again. I kissed his cheek and told him everything would be fine, even though my gut twisted with unease. Then I returned to the clinic, but before I could unlock the door, a voice behind me made me freeze. Can we talk? Kade. I didn't turn around. I don't have anything to say. Well, I do, he said, his voice firm but not aggressive. I sighed, then turned slowly. Make it quick. He stepped closer, hesitant. I've made a lot of mistakes. I know that. I thought rejecting you would keep you safe, but it only broke both of us. And now I find out. I have a son. I clenched my jaw. You don't get to be a father just because you have matching DNA. I know, he said quietly. But I want to earn it. Please, Mira. Let me at least meet him. No. My answer was sharp. He's not ready. And neither am I. Kade's shoulders dropped. He looked truly pained. You think I'd take him from you? I don't know what you do, I snapped. I don't know you anymore, Kade. You gave up that right? He was silent for a long time. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled something out, a small, weathered leather notebook. I've written to you. Every day. For 5 years. I never stopped thinking about you. I stared at the notebook in his hand. I didn't reach for it. You made your choice, Kade, I whispered. Now I'm making mine. Before he could respond, a sharp howl pierced the air. Not just any howl, one full of fear and rage. Kade's eyes widened. My wolf surged inside me. We both turned toward the forest line. Another rogue attack. I didn't wait. I bolted past him, my senses sharpening as I shifted mid-run. My bones snapped, fur bursting through my skin. My wolf took over, leaping over fences and tearing through the trees. And behind me, I heard him shift too. 2 wolves. One past. One future. Running straight into the danger. For the pup who carried both their blood. The scent of blood hit me first. Sharp, metallic, fresh. My paws pounded against the earth as I tore through the woods, branches slashing at my fur. My wolf was fully in control now, fierce, protective, desperate. Behind me, I could hear Kade, his larger wolf form crashing through the trees. The town was in chaos. Humans screamed and scattered, but the rogues didn't care. They tore through doors, flipped carts, left destruction in their wake. I spotted 3 of them near the schoolyard. My blood ran cold. Rowan. Without thinking, I launched myself at the nearest rogue, my teeth sinking into its neck. We tumbled across the dirt, snapping and snarling. I clawed and bit until he stopped moving, blood soaking the ground beneath us. Another rogue lunged for me, but Kade intercepted it midair, slamming the beast to the ground with brutal force. His golden eyes locked with mine for the briefest moment, and for the first time in years, I saw something familiar in them. Fury. Fear. And protection. Mama. The sound of Rowan's voice sliced through the chaos. I turned and saw him, standing outside the schoolhouse, eyes wide with terror, his little hands gripping the railing. A rogue was stalking toward him. No. I shifted mid-sprint, bones snapping, my skin tearing as I returned to human form. I threw myself between Rowan and the rogue, arms outstretched, ready to take the hit. But the rogue never reached me. Kade, now in human form too, tackled the beast from behind, slamming it into the dirt. They rolled, tangled in violence, until Kade pinned it with his claws and tore its throat open. Silence fell. Broken buildings. Blood-splattered dirt. Trembling children. I gathered Rowan into my arms, holding him tightly. You're safe now. You're safe, I whispered over and over, even though my heart still thundered in my chest. Kade stood, blood dripping from his arms and chest. His eyes found mine, and for once, there was no pride, no dominance, just raw, human pain. I won't let anything hurt him, he said, voice hoarse. I swallowed hard, brushing hair from Rowan's face. He's all I have. Kade took a step closer. Then let me help protect him. Please, Mira. I know I don't deserve forgiveness. But I can fight for it. The townspeople began to emerge slowly, the danger passed for now. Whispers filled the air, about the wolves, the fight, the truth. I looked at Rowan, clinging to me, and then at Kade, waiting. Maybe the past had found me. But the future. That still belonged to us to shape. The rogue bodies had been cleared. The blood had been scrubbed from the schoolyard walls. But nothing could erase the fear that lingered in the air. Or the way Rowan clung to me that night, refusing to let go. I sat on the edge of his bed, stroking his hair softly as he drifted into sleep. His little hands stayed wrapped around my wrist, like a tether anchoring him to safety. To me. Outside, the moon cast a silver glow over the town. I heard footsteps approaching the clinic porch and didn't have to look to know it was Kade. I stepped outside, closing the door gently behind me. He was leaning against the railing, arms crossed, shirt bloody but clean now. How's Rowan? Sleeping. Finally. He nodded, jaw tight. He's brave. Like his mother. Don't romanticize me, I replied coldly, but the words lacked venom. I'm not, he said. I'm trying to understand. Everything I gave up. Everything I lost. I turned away from him, arms wrapped around myself. You could have come looking for me, I said, the words spilling out like a slow bleed. You could have fought for me. For us. I thought I was protecting you, he whispered. But the truth is, I was afraid. Of not being enough. Of choosing wrong. And now? I asked, turning to face him. What do you want, Kade? He hesitated. I want to know my son. I want to make things right. Not as your mate. Not yet. Just. As a man who made the worst mistake of his life. Silence stretched between us. Rowan deserves to know who he is, Kade added. Not just where he came from, but what he can become. I closed my eyes. I had spent 5 years keeping my son safe from the world that broke me, but was I also keeping him from part of himself? Let me talk to him, I said finally. Let me decide when. I'll wait, Kade replied. As long as it takes. He turned to leave but paused at the steps. By the way, that little notebook? It's yours. Whether you ever read it or not. And then he was gone, swallowed by the night. I stood there for a long time, the cool breeze tangling in my hair, the stars above burning quietly. Maybe some wounds didn't fully heal. But maybe. They could stop hurting. The notebook sat untouched on my nightstand for 3 days. Every night, I would stare at it, fingers twitching, heart pounding. I didn't know what scared me more, what Kade had written or the idea that maybe he hadn't changed at all. But on the 4th night, when Rowan had fallen asleep after telling me he missed his wolf hero, I opened it. The first page held my name, written softly. Mira. Then came entry after entry. Letters I was never meant to read. Guilt poured out in every sentence, memories of us as teens, confessions of his sleepless nights, regrets about the rejection. He spoke about Selena too, how she wasn't the mate he thought he wanted, how their bond was shallow, political. She had left him after only a year. I didn't cry. Not then. But my hand shook as I turned to the final page. If I ever see you again, I'll accept whatever pain you give me. I deserve it. But I'll still fight, for a chance to know the boy who carries my eyes, and the woman who still owns my heart. I closed the notebook slowly, tears stinging my eyes. The next morning, I found Kade waiting outside the clinic, as if he knew I had finally read it. He didn't say anything, just looked at me, open, vulnerable. I told him, I said quietly. His eyes widened. Rowan? I nodded. I told him his father was someone brave once. Someone who made a mistake. But who might be trying to fix it? Kade's shoulders dropped with relief. Can I see him? After school, I said. But only for a little while. I'll stay. Of course. That afternoon, Rowan approached Kade slowly, curious but calm. You're really my dad? He asked, head tilted. Kade knelt down, eyes soft. Yes. I've missed a lot, but I want to know you, if you'll let me. Rowan blinked, then held out a red maple leaf. Then you need one of these. They're lucky. Kade took the leaf like it was gold. Thank you, buddy. I stood back, watching them. But peace was never permanent. That night, a messenger arrived from the Nightfang pack. A rogue lord had taken control of a northern territory, and was hunting for the Omega and her pup with alpha blood. They had found us. The words echoed in my ears long after the messenger had gone. The Omega and her pup with alpha blood. They weren't just after me now. They wanted Rowan. Kade stood by the window, fists clenched. The air around him pulsed with fury, his wolf dangerously close to the surface. They won't touch him, he growled. I swear it. I sat on the edge of the bed, heart heavy. They already know we're here. If they tracked us once, they'll do it again. We need to leave, he said. Tonight. I'll take you both to Nightfang. You'll be safe there. I shook my head. Safe? Back to the same pack that cast me aside? Where Omegas are stepped on like dirt. It's not the same, Kade replied, stepping closer. I've changed it. I became alpha after Selena left. I've spent the last 4 years tearing down everything my father built. Omegas have voices now. They have roles. Respect. I looked up at him, searching his face for truth. And I saw it, raw, painful, but real. He meant every word. Rowan came running into the room then, holding a stuffed wolf under one arm. Mama, why are we packing? I bent down, brushing his hair gently. We're going on a trip, baby. Somewhere safe. Somewhere with more trees. Will there be stars? Always, I whispered. That night, we left under the cover of moonlight. Kade led the way in his wolf form, sleek and powerful, while I ran beside him. Rowan held close against my back in wolf form as well. His small heartbeat against mine gave me strength. But as we crossed into neutral territory, a chilling howl ripped through the air. Then another. And another. They were waiting for us. Kade shifted back mid-run, breath ragged. Keep moving, he ordered. I'll hold them off. No, I shouted, shifting back too. We stay together. Mira, please. A rogue burst from the trees, fangs bared. I caught him in time, tackling him to the ground. My claws dug into flesh, teeth snapping, but more shadows loomed behind. Rowan was screaming now, hidden behind a tree. 3 more rogues surrounded us. Kade growled low, stepping in front of me. You'll have to kill me to get to them. We planned to, one of them hissed, grinning. And then, just as they lunged, a powerful howl split the night. From behind the trees, wolves poured in, dozens of them. Nightfang warriors, cloaked in silver and gray, eyes burning with fury. Kade's reinforcements had arrived. The battle erupted like fire and dry brush. Blood. Claws. Roars. But we weren't alone anymore. We fought together. Side by side. Alpha and Omega. Maid and mother. And when it was over, the rogues lay in silence. And Rowan stood between us, eyes wide with awe. Mama. Papa. You both turned into heroes. Dawn broke slowly, bleeding soft gold across the ruined battlefield. The air was heavy with the scent of blood and scorched earth, but it was over. We had survived. Rowan sat curled in my lap as I cradled him, his small hand gripping my torn sleeve, his face streaked with dirt but safe. Kade stood nearby, his body covered in wounds, but his gaze never left us. Never left me. The warriors gathered the bodies, tending to the wounded in silence. No one questioned my presence now. No one looked at me like I didn't belong. Because I had fought. I had led. Because I was more than an Omega. Kade approached, crouching beside me. His golden eyes searched mine. You were incredible. I did what I had to do. No, he said softly. You did what none of them could. You protected your son. You protected me. Mira. I was wrong. You weren't too weak to be Luna. You were too strong for the title they gave you. I swallowed hard. For years, I had dreamed of hearing those words. And now that they were real, I didn't know what to say. I never stopped loving you, he whispered. I just didn't know how to love you the right way. I looked down at Rowan, now dozing in my arms. My little boy, the bridge between two broken hearts. I don't need a fairy tale, I whispered. But I need truth. And I need to be equal. I'll never be beneath you again, Kade. You never were, he said, taking my hand. I see that now. And I want to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. The wind picked up, rustling the trees. Somewhere in the distance, a wolf howled, not a threat this time, but a song. A beginning. Rowan stirred, lifting his sleepy face toward us. Are we going home now? Kade looked at me. Wherever you are. That's home. I nodded slowly. Maybe the bond had been broken once. But now, we would build a new one, stronger, chosen and forged in fire. Not as Alpha and Omega. But as equals. As mates. As a family. Epilogue, 5 years later. The Nightfang territory had changed. What once was ruled by hierarchy and fear had become a place of balance. Omegas ran businesses, Betas served on the council, and Alphas led with compassion, not control. And at the center of it all stood Rowan. Now 10 years old, he ran through the training grounds, his golden eyes sparkling as he shifted mid-sprint into his sleek young wolf form. The crowd of onlookers, wolves of every rank, cheered. He's fast, someone whispered. Like his mother, Kate said, smiling proudly beside me. I leaned into him, watching our son claim his place in a world that once rejected us both. I was no longer just Mira, the rejected mate. I was Mira Monroe, Luna by choice, healer of the pack and founder of the Omega Initiative, a program that trained every wolf, regardless of rank, to unlock their potential. Kade and I hadn't rushed back into the bond. We had rebuilt, piece by piece. He listened, he learned, and he let go of power where it wasn't needed. And in return, I trusted him again. That evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the valley in amber, Kade reached into his pocket and pulled out a small object. A red maple leaf. Pressed, laminated, worn around the edges. Our first gift from Rowan, he said, placing it in my hand. Still lucky, isn't it? I smiled, eye stinging. I already have everything I ever needed.